Eva. I'm a Senior Product Manager here at AppNexus.
Hi, I'm Milton. I'm a Principal Technical Solutions Consultant here at AppNexus.
And today we're going to break down our session on identity, audiences, and programmable data. Great. So, as we all know, right now it's really difficult to reach our intended audience online. And there's many reasons for that. So one of them is there's lots of data out there. Just to give you an example of this, we add about 500 trillion segments to the bid stream on any given day. Things like Safari ITP are coming out there to limit what we can do with cookies. New regulation out of Europe, GDPR, that's coming out in May of 2018, is disputing what we can even do with cookies. The trends with server-to-server integrations, something like header bidding, is increasing the amount of hops that we have to do. And for every single hop that we add, that's an additional step that we have to do user syncing for. So all of this stuff really complicates and makes it really difficult to reach our intended audiences. So here comes along AppNexus Programmable Data. It's our way to help redefine how we define audiences here at AppNexus. So what is programmable data? Programmable data is a real-time data provider here at AppNexus that helps you use real-time signals to create these audiences without the reliance of cookies. So it gets rid of a lot of the problems that I mentioned previously and is really cool. So Milton, do you want to come back up here and talk more about why it's so cool?
I thought you'd never ask, Ava. Thank you so much. It's whiteboard time. Okay, so here we go. We're going to do a brief Life of an Ad Call lesson for y'all right now. So, over here we have a web page, and we have on it called a placement. And this is basically an opportunity to serve an impression or an advertisement to a user. So here I am, Mr. Milton, on my phone visiting a web page, and an ad tag loads. It fires off to the AppNexus impression bus here. And the impression bus is going to basically dictate the terms in which this placement is filled. The way we do that first is we send this impression off to our data store and we retrieve segments or audiences that this user is actually a part of. And we do that by looking up this user's cookie ID or this user's device ID that they're currently on. Segments are returned that represent the audience that this user is a part of. Then we go off to real-time data providers again to augment more information on this impression. Now, the main distinction between a data store and a real-time data provider here is that in our data store we have exclusively user-based information, right? So we're only looking at the user cookie, or we only have the device IDs that are associated with this person, right? The thing here is we don't get much more information about like the website or the geographic location that the person's in, or say if there's like a weather condition in this location that may want to influence how we're actually bidding. Say for instance it's raining and I'm a big pizza chain, and all of a sudden I want to deliver a lot of pizzas to people who are raining. So it's raining in New York, I want to deliver a lot of pizza ads all of a sudden. That's one use case, right? The problem with real-time data providers is that they're very expensive to build. And the reason being is that they have very stringent thresholds in which they can return information to the impression bus, right? So here again, they're returning segments, but they have to do so in 10 milliseconds, right? That's incredibly fast, even for computers, right? And if you consider how many of me are on the internet right now, there's millions and millions of impressions coming in every second to the impression bus that has to process this and sending them all to real-time data providers, again, to get more information about this impression. So you're getting flooded with impressions. You got to build a lot of hardware to listen to all this stuff. You have to build it very smart so it replies very quickly. It can be really expensive. You need engineers, you need hardware. Well, in steps in AppNexus Programmable Data, right? It acts as another real-time data provider in our real-time data provider cluster segment here. But it's a real-time data provider as a service. So what that means is, as a client or a partner of AppNexus, what I can do is simply make an API call to upload some of my targets to the system and have them acted on by the impression bus. So some cool targets that I can do with real-time data providers, or APD specifically right now, are domain-based targeting. So basically get information about the domain that this person's on. I can do IP range or IP address. I can do open location codes, OLCs, which basically allows me to do irregular shape targeting on a map. So not just lat-long radiuses or a specific city. I can draw boxes in weird irregular shapes to target specific areas. A very cool feature. And one of the really cool features that we're highlighting here with AppNexus Programmable Data is something called events. Now events is a pretty awesome feature that allows me to receive an external trigger from some data source that I have. Let's call this sports network data, right? And let's say that we're at an Eagles game at the Giants Stadium. Carson Wentz is throwing 1 million touchdowns all over the horrible Giants secondary. They're absolutely atrocious. Everyone's pulling out their phones to check their fantasy football scores. And you, as an advertiser, want to show Carson Wentz's bright smiling face on people's apps when they pull up their phones to actually look at this advertisement. Well, I want to do this at a specific time. I only want to show and sell these jerseys right after this quarterback throws a touchdown. And then I want to turn it off after 20 minutes because everyone's put their phones away after they've checked the scores, right? Well, I've received my trigger. I make one API call to the events APD system, and across all of our data centers across the world, within 2 seconds, I've activated that segment across all these millions of impressions coming in. And then now that segment's active, my campaigns, my other buying strategies start buying right away. And then within 2 seconds, I can turn it off once I want to do that immediately. So again, that's a very complex technical problem to solve that you get out of the box with APD for free. So I'm going to bring APD back. And that's APD in a nutshell.
Cool. Thanks for joining us.
See you guys.